both of y'all. 2-minute opening, a Q&A after the rounds are done. We have a Q&A, and then we have the 3-minute closing. So I will advise y'all to get y'all questions ready. Like when one person is going, get your questions ready. You know, are there any questions, anybody?
No.
Let me get my clock together so I can be able to see the countdown.
Keep the time. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Time will start when you ready. Nepal, we waiting on Nepal to get back in here. She will be the mod going in. And the topic, brothers and sisters, let me put it back up here so there won't be no misunderstanding here. No misunderstanding. The topic is, are human beings monkeys, or did we come from monkeys? Or are we monkeys? Let's just get it in. Are we monkeys? Alexa, stop.
Yeah, I don't know. The title was kind of crazy. I just wanted to be "Are Humans Monkeys?"
Okay, are humans monkeys? That is the title.
Are humans monkeys? Okay, are
right.
we monkeys?
Don't worry about this up here. Are humans monkeys? That's the title, y'all. Are humans monkeys? And I'll change it in the top so people can know what's going on.
That was like some disco music, wasn't it? do, 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 do.
You all right, Sister Genesis? You good today?
Are you good, sir? Line is that things, you know, a common ancestor does not indicate direct descent. Okay, humans did not evolve from monkeys. There's no scientific way to prove they did. Okay, evolutionary theories are connected to scientific racism and were used to try to prove superiority of the right race. So no, human beings are not monkeys. Genetic and archaeologists also agree with the same, with my sentiment. There's no way to prove, once again, not through any scientific method that exists today. And then today I'm going to prove that through various different sources as to why. You know, I know a lot of times he likes to bring up the simian and the relationship to simians and how monkeys are simians and humans are simians too, and that makes us monkeys. But the bottom line is that things are broken down into families. Families are subfamilies, super families, and groups, and then they have since separated from that group. But after all, this is again racist scientific rhetoric to begin with. So yeah, so that's pretty much my opening, and that's it. That's all I have.
All right, Sister Genesis. You have 43 seconds left, but that's cool. We're gonna move on over to Qube. I will advise both of y'all to try to use up all the time you can. Even when you finish, you might think of something. You might think of something he said in his first PowerPoint on his first round. You know, you can always address it when you finish your joint. You can get right back to it. Qube, you only got one fire on your head. You usually have two. So I guess you broke one of your horns. There you go. I see it. I see it. All right. So Qube, it's on you, my brother. 2 minutes in your opening round. Let the people know what it is you are here to prove today.
Yeah, man. Peace to y'all. This is very simple. I didn't want to have this debate with her because she just started out right out the gate, still not understanding the argument. She hasn't looked into the science. She doesn't understand. Now, I've made it clear to her. I've went over this multiple times with this sister, tried to get it to explain it. I tried to explain it to her like a 5-year-old. She still could not get it, which means that she can't get it. Now, this conversation begins and it ends with simians. If she's not willing to talk about simians, then we can't have this debate. So I'm not debating her. This is not a debate with me versus DJ Genesis. We're not debating. She's talking about something totally different that I'm not talking about, and that's fine. So we're going to shorten the debate as quick as we can because I'm just going to make the points that I've always made to show you that humans are monkeys. Let's go.
All right. Let's go. We're gonna go with your first round, Genesis. Do you have a PowerPoint you want to put up?
Yes.
All right, come on, get your PowerPoint. And the first 15 minutes is on you. We're gonna start when you are ready. I see your PowerPoint is on the screen, looking professional. Let's go. You ready?
Yep.
Time starts.
So, are we monkeys? Okay. No, we are not. Okay. The key point is common ancestry does not indicate direct descent. Humans didn't evolve from monkeys. Genetics and archaeology also, we did not evolve directly from monkeys. There's no way to prove that we did, like I said in my opening. Carbon dating is a useful tool for dating recent artifacts, but unsuitable for addressing evolutionary questions such as humans evolving from monkeys. In this scientific daily, radiocarbon dating is a key tool archaeologists use to determine the age of plants and objects made with organic material, but new research shows that commonly accepted radiocarbon dating standards can miss the mark. Okay, so there's inaccuracies in the dating itself. So basically, even though he's talking about, I'm not talking about the subject. The bottom line, I'm actually addressing the science behind the subject. You know, effective range of carbon dating is only up to 50,000 years. Most fossils are mineralized and contain no original organic material. Fossils from millions of years ago require alternative dating methods, and a lot of this stuff is can be said throughout. You can find all kind of different scientific journals and things like that. That last thing was taken from Science Daily, a journal, and this is in an article about the same thing. Apes and monkeys diverged over 25 to 30 million years ago, far beyond the range of carbon dating. Not only that, also DNA. They cannot date things past back to 25 million years. So all this talk of a common ancestor is based on what information? Based on what? Oh, you found a few bones or like some chips off of a bone and said, oh, they'll take a whole chip of a bone and make a whole monkey out of it. Just take one jaw and say, oh, this is the whole monkey. This is what it looked like. It's crazy. So the only accurately dated human, according to science, is a 300,000-year-old fossil from Morocco, specifically at the Jebel Arad site, dated primarily using thermoluminescence. And guess what? They're still estimating and trying to figure. It's not. They don't even. It's still an estimation. And you know what? They were not even able to date the bones. They dated the tools around the bones. Okay. So all this stuff about they're finding these bones and then they know how long, where we came from is speculation. The world's oldest DNA is 2 million years old from an ice age sediment in northern Greenland. So yeah, I'm talking about a different subject because I'm attacking the science behind the data that he's presenting. No DNA or direct genetic evidence exists that connects us to a common ancestor for 25 million years ago. DNA, okay? So this connection is only inferred, not a proven fact. DNA also shows that our species and chimpanzees diverged from a common ancestor species that lived 8 and 6 million years ago. So there's a 25 million ancestor that they say that apes diverge from, and then they say humans and chimpanzee diverge from another common ancestor, which is yet to be seen who this common ancestor is. There's no fossil record of the common ancestor. Nobody's found any DNA evidence of this common ancestor. They don't even have science that could even date it if it did, or research into it if it did. We have yet to find this common ancestor. They say that humans and chimpanzees share 98% of their DNA with monkeys and not monkeys with the chimpanzee and humans. Okay, they behavior and cognitive abilities. Humans exhibit advanced language and things like that. But the bottom line is you can't prove ancestry with no fossil record. You can't. What are they doing? What based on what? Oh, they looked at some genetics and they said, okay, well then we have a connection to here, so we don't know where this. They had to have diverged from each other. It's a theoretical construct, okay? And he's trying to tout it off as fact, and all it is theories. Humans share 98 to 99% of DNA with chimpanzees. That 1 to 2% is a key genetic difference. You see chimpanzees running around here. They ain't built up nothing and did nothing. They can't talk, like they cannot communicate to other come on now. They make noises and stuff, and that's how they communicate. Evolutionary divergence. Apes split from monkeys millions of years before chromosome 2 fused with humans. They have far fewer similarities with monkeys due to earlier divergence of monkeys from apes? Why haven't monkeys who have existed for millions of years shown some form of evolution similar to humans? Okay, they have the chromosomes. Humans have 46, ape have 48, monkeys have a variation. Brain development advanced in humans due to genes like the SRGAP2 and the ASPM language. FOXP2 enables complex communication in humans. Vision versus smell. Humans rely more on vision, losing many smell-related genes. Causes of genetic difference. Environmental adaptation. Humans adapted to diverse environments deriving unique traits. We have unique traits, you guys. We build pyramids. Okay, we create AI. Monkeys are still climbing in trees. Humans lack SIGLEC3 affecting human immune responses differently than chimpanzees. Okay, humans lost many functional smell-related genes, other genetic differences. FOXP2, language development. Okay, human accelerated regions. Okay, they rapidly evolved. They traveled around. They didn't just stay in the trees that they whatever. Basically, monkeys stay in one area, and then when that area gets destroyed, the monkeys go extinct. We have brain development. We have a larger brain, as you can see right here. Okay, differences in brain size. There's an ASPM2 gene, mutations linked to brain size. Humans have unique variants not found in apes or monkeys. And as you can see here, you'll see all the different skulls and everything like that of the gorillas and the different monkeys and things like that. And as you can see, there is a larger brain when it comes to humans. This is the common ancestor, I believe, y'all. This is the common ancestor. It's the Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying? That's our common ancestor. Now the references are, I put a lot of my references at the end because I would like to go through my slides in a pretty fluid way. All right, so let's go into phylogenetics that refuse the claim of human being monkeys. Phylogenetics places humans in a distinct branch with great apes separate from monkeys. Chromosome 2 fusion is unique to humans and occurred after divergence from great ape ancestors. Misinterpreting this evidence oversimplifies evolutionary relationships. Humans are not monkeys. We're considered supposedly apes. Okay, the fusion of chromosome 2 highlights the common ancestor with great apes, not monkeys. And then there was a diversion. Apes diverged from monkeys over 225 million years ago, according to science, right? So then here's this thing. There's this whole, I guess this is like a whole tree of how we all came from the Catarrhini. We're all primates, and it goes down. But as you look right here, if you actually look closely, you'll see that the superfamily of Cercopithecidae, old world monkeys, is under a superfamily of Cercopithecoidea, and Cercopithecoidae, old world monkeys, are a family underneath the superfamily. And then if you actually look under Catarrhini, because you see that there's a clear separation between an old world monkey and an ape. Okay, now there's a superfamily of the ape, which is Hominoidea, and then underneath that family, you'll have humans, and then you have the subfamily hominini. Sorry, I'm Russian. African apes and humans. Okay. So the problem is that, how could you connect us to a monkey when science itself is separating us from monkeys and saying that apes are separate from monkeys? And then human beings came into existence 300,000 years ago, and monkeys, they're talking about 25 million years ago. And they don't even have any scientific way to even necessarily prove that. This connection, because they can't do any DNA testing on the bones because it'll degrade. DNA testing can only go back 2 million years. So how in the heck can we connect something that cannot be connected just by having a hypothesis, taking a couple of bones here and there? Show me the bones. Gaps in the fossil record remain points of scientific inquiry. Fossil evidence suggests apes and monkeys diverged millions of years ago. Okay, so now they're talking about Australopithecus and Homo species shows human evolution distinct from monkeys. scientists are still finding fossils. Okay, so they also challenged the Neanderthal fossil. Okay, they can't find any finding older DNA in other hominids is unlikely. So how in the heck can we prove that we're supposedly monkeys through any kind of real DNA tracing of evidence? He's saying that I'm not talking about the same thing. Why would I talk about the same thing? When you're talking about bones like this that they pieced together that was spread out miles apart and put
5 minutes.
Said it was and put it together and said it was Lucy. And at first they were saying that this was our great ancestor, but guess what? They found out that was wrong. And most recently they found a whole new fossil, y'all, Antediluvius that came. That's 8.6 million years ago that existed supposedly, based on the rocks and settlement around it. Okay, and now they're saying that humanity may have evolved in Europe and in Eastern Mediterranean region and migrated to Africa instead. So the whole out of Africa theory is now being debunked right now based on this fossil. Further research and archaeological evidence is needed. The exact evolutionary path leading to modern humans is still being researched, you guys. What we think we know today could change tomorrow. My conclusion is there's no direct DNA or fossil that exists from a common ancestor from monkeys that lived millions of years ago to connect it to humans. All we're going off is a chimpanzee. Oh, it's a close, it's only 1% off. Okay. It does not mean direct descent. More fossils are being found. All modern evidence, including DNA, shows no direct lineage. Humans did not directly evolve from monkeys. Therefore, our common ancestor aspect is just a theory. Okay, the idea of common ancestor is a theoretical construct based on converging lines of evidence rather than direct genetic linkage. A theoretical construct is an abstract idea or concept that explains a phenomenon or behavior within a theoretical framework. Okay, these are ideas and you know, like, these are the references. Smithsonian National Museum of Encyclopedia Britannica,
3 minutes.
California. I mean, these are the references when it comes to that. Okay, and I think I'm gonna let my time go after. How many more minutes left?
You got 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay. So further discoveries and newer technologies are needed to bridge the gaps in the fossil record and DNA testing. The common ancestor has still yet to be found. Most of the monkeys connected to apes went extinct millions of years before human existence. Zero DNA is connected. The only thing that not monkeys, not apes. Okay, they can't test the DNA. The degradation, ancient DNA is often fragmented and chemically modified. Contamination. Come on, guys. How can we directly connect ourselves to something that without using any kind of scientific test other than just grabbing bones from here and there and saying, oh, okay, well, this is what I think it is. How is that scientific? And that's my time.
All right, there we go. All right, there we go. Genesis opening, powerful opening, bringing the challenge head on to my brother Qube. Qube, 15 minutes starts when you're ready, brother. Your 15 minutes. Remember, there's no slander, no calling people names out their names. Let's get through a good, respectful debate here, discussion. Let's go, Qube. Time will start when you're ready, brother.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. And just as I stated at the very beginning with my opening statement, we're not talking about the same thing. It's evident in her presentations. In her presentation, we're not talking about the same thing. If you listen carefully, she actually said that she's talking about something else other than what I'm talking about. So this isn't a debate, as I stated before. She admitted she's talking about something else. So I'm going to go ahead and continue talking about humans being monkeys. Now, she brought up carbon dating. This isn't about carbon dating. We're looking at the phylogeny, and we're looking at the genome. We don't need carbon dating when we're looking at the genome. We're not talking about the same thing. This isn't about fossils or none of that garbage that she brought up. All of that was trash. It was filler. It was garbage. None of it had anything to do with humans being monkeys. We don't need bones. We don't need the fossil record. We don't need any of that stuff. We have the genome. So Let me go ahead and share this. I want to share my screen really quick. Let me see. What we want to start off with. Yeah, let's go here. All right. So here's a paper, the monkey's
Screen
perspective.
sharing.
Thank you, which was written in 2007. So now, if we start here, um, let's see, yeah, right here. So the recently published draft of the rhesus macaque genome from the rhesus macaque genome sequence and analysis consortium follows that of the chimpanzee by only a year and a half now gives us three primate genome sequences. Those three primate groups are the rhesus macaque, the chimpanzee, and the human. Those are the three groups of the 2.87 gigabases sequenced at 5.2-fold coverage and containing approximately 20,000 predicted genetic loci, regions of the macaque genome that could be aligned to the human genome sequence were 93.5% identical. 93.5% identical, compared with the human genome difference of 98.77, which sometimes, excuse me, but sometimes gives sequences that are too similar to draw meaningful comparisons. So when we look at from human to chimpanzee is 98.77. When we look at human to the macaque, we see 93.5. What is that telling us? That's telling us that we're closer to chimpanzees. In the macaques, they are a little bit further from us. Why? Because they are monkeys. They are monkeys. So why would we have this great similarity with something that we aren't? It doesn't make sense. She's talking about something totally different that I'm not talking about. So I tried to put it into layman's terms. So now we're about to get into the simians. I pulled this up over and over, and I'm gonna even show you how she agreed with me in her first round. It's very simple, but you have to listen because she doesn't know what she's talking about. So now, when we're talking about the simians, anthropoids, or higher primates are an infraorder of primates containing all animals traditionally called monkeys and apes. More precisely, they consist of the parvorder Platyrrhini, which are the New World monkeys, and Catarrhini, which are Old World monkeys, the latter of which consists of the family Cercopithidae, which she brought up, but she didn't know what she was reading. Cercopithidae are Old World monkeys. She just agreed with my point in her opening. She doesn't even know it because she hasn't studied it. She's too busy talking about bones, fossils, and other nonsense that I'm not even talking about. She's talking about where there's families and things of that nature. Yeah, there are families, and we're going to get to that. And I'm going to show you that you don't know what you're talking about. So the simians are sister group to the tarsiers, which are the tarsiforms, because we come from the semiform group, together forming the haplorhines. The radiation occurred about 60 million years ago in the Cenozoic era. 40 million years ago, simians colonized South America, giving rise to New World monkeys. So you had the Old World monkeys, which were in Africa, and you had the New World monkeys, which are in South America. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So let's go here. Where I want to go. Okay, monophyly. See, she doesn't understand monophyletics. So now, in biology, cladistics for the classification of organisms, monophyly is the condition of a taxonomic group being a clade that is a grouping of taxa that meet these criteria. The grouping contains its own most recent common ancestor, which she doesn't understand common ancestors. I have to break that down to her. I've tried to explain it to her multiple times. She keeps saying nonsense like common ancestor does not mean direct descent. Yes, it does. What the hell does ancestor means? If someone is your ancestor, you directly descend from them. You don't know what you're talking about. Why are we having this
What?
conversation?
I'm
Be
sorry.
quiet and mute your mic.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Just don't do it again. So
Yeah,
here
you
we
can't
go.
do that, Genesis. You can't do that. Go ahead, Q.
All right, cool. Now, what was I had to come back in here real quick? Okay. Now, what was I? She made me lose my spot. Excuse me. Yeah, we was on monophyly. So yeah, the grouping contains its own most recent common ancestor, or most precisely an ancestral population, i.e., excludes non-descendants of that common ancestor. Non-descendants. The grouping contains all of descendants of that common ancestor without exception. Let me try to show you what it's saying. So now, when you're looking at monophyly, which they're giving you an example, they're giving you an example right here. These are the semiforms. These are monkeys. These are monkeys. Now you have your new world monkeys, which they begin to break off, and then the old world monkeys, they begin to break off, and you see there is a common ancestor here. This line right here denotes a common ancestor. Common ancestor does mean direct descent. So you have monophyly, paraphyly, and polyphyly. She doesn't understand these things. She's just talking. So now, let's go here. And this is the easiest way that I try to explain it to her. She still doesn't get it. But hey, most people in the audience they don't get it either, which is unfortunate. So now when I say if a person says dogs are wolves, yes, dogs are wolves. And how do we know? Because if we take a look right here, it said a recent molecular evidence shows that dogs are descended from the gray wolf. If you descend from something, you still are that. Domesticated around 130,000 years ago, the dog Canis familiaris is a direct descendant of the gray wolf. A direct descendant. Canis lupus, in other words, dogs as we know them are domesticated wolves. That's all they are. They are domesticated wolves. Not only their behavior changed, domestic dogs are different in form from wolves, many smaller with shorter muzzles and smaller teeth. It does not mean that they're not dogs anymore. Just because you may see different types of monkeys does not mean that they aren't monkeys. Just because we look different than other monkeys, it doesn't mean that we aren't monkeys. Because people like to say, well, hold on, no, we're not monkeys, we're apes. Okay, well, where did apes come from? Where did apes come from? Do we want to talk about where apes come from? Of course not, because you would have to say that apes come from monkeys. So now she doesn't understand how common ancestors work. So let's try let's give it a baby food really quick. So now, if you have a grandparent, you, and then I have a grandparent, and we both descend from that grandparent. You may be a monkey 25 million years ago, not a monkey, but like a rhesus macaque, and I may be a gorilla 25 million years into the future. But it does not mean we still didn't come from that same grandparent. So that's what a common ancestor is. You still are that thing, because guess what? What you see right here, you can only produce what you are. So humans can only produce humans. So that tells you monkeys can only produce monkeys. Just because we call ourselves something different does not mean that we aren't monkeys at our core. Let's keep going. So now this family tree shows several generations started with a pair of grandparents. In the same way, an evolutionary family called phylogeny shows relationships over much longer period of times. Longer period of times. So now let's take a look here. So what do we see? We see the ancestral tetrapod. Evolutionary trees show lineages of descent. Through these, traits are passed from a common ancestor to descendants. Why can't she get that through her mind? That common ancestors does mean direct descendants. That's what it means. That's exactly what it means. So when we look at these tetrapods, we also share the homology, morphology with birds, lizards, whales, and other mammals. So we understand that this tetrapod come from that. This is how we're able to say that we are fish. What part of that you don't get? Why is this so hard to understand? And with that, I'll pause my time, and I'm just gonna clean up her first round after that. She's finished. If you're saying something, you muted.
Genesis, let's go on to round 2. Time will begin when you're ready. Unmute yourself. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
Time starts.
All right. So there's a key evolutionary difference between how humans have evolved versus monkeys. Okay. So to talk about us, you're really breaking us down into like this semi-form and this, that, the other, and using a bottom-up evolutionary model, and basically saying that we evolved over time into this monkey, to this human-like thing from a tree swinging, tail having monkey, and there's some common ancestor with the ape. This is all like based in scientific nonsense. Okay, humans and monkeys evolve along different paths. Humans emerged approximately 300,000 years ago, have adapted to environmental change, changed their environment, and achieved significant advancements in a short time. Monkeys, despite existing for millions of years with environmental changes, have either remained relatively unchanged or have gone extinct. Okay. Mathematics is an evidence of top-down order. Mathematics such as the value of pi and the Fibonacci sequence exists independent of human discovery. Universal truths like geometry and physical constants, okay? I mean, gravity, all type of things that we figured out as human beings, and monkeys are still swinging in trees, okay? They haven't even slightly evolved. They might change what they eat. They might go swing from a different tree or whatever, but they pretty much, if they don't, they pretty much lack any cognitive ability past, unless we interact with them. But they don't evolve past being a monkey. You put a monkey back in the wild, it's going to go back to being a monkey. It's not going to change its environment and show the other monkeys what the humans taught them or nothing like that. It's going to stay a monkey. It's going to have to adapt to the monkeys in the tree. Humans developed advanced cognitive abilities, abstract reasoning, cultural transmission allowed cumulative advancements like in knowledge and technology. Monkeys lack the system for complex knowledge transmission. So if we have evolved from a monkey, then how in the heck are we up here with such advances? Why are we building pyramids? How do we create AI? What are we doing? Why haven't monkeys at least evolved even slightly? Why haven't they started making fires or do something except for swinging trees? And then if that environment changes, if we go up in there with some bulldozers and they're not going to run and go to another location and change that environment and do what, they're going to go extinct. Okay, that's what's going to happen. That group of monkeys. Humans are not merely evolved monkeys, but represent a unique species, unparalleled capabilities. The rapid advancements of humans suggest influence beyond random mutations. Okay? He's basically talking about is random mutations that created the humans. Universal truths like mathematics and physical laws point to a top-down pre-existing order in the universe. Okay, this evolutionary conversation is really just a racist construct that people thought up to basically prove that white people were superior, and we're buying it. He's buying it. And I don't care how much research you're doing on Wikipedia to find that out, but you're basically going into Darwin and all this other crazy stuff to find this information. Now, all this stuff, Darwin is the pappy of. All this information is Darwin's BS. And he's a racist. He's racist. We're going to get into that later on, too. Okay? Dr. Paul Willis, a paleontologist. I'm sorry, I'm Russian. Firstly, humans did not evolve from monkeys. Instead, monkeys share a common ancestor from which both evolved around 25 million years ago. Based on what? This is what these scientists are saying. We believe in this. Since we believe in science, science is God, and we're taking our information from science. We're talking about evolution that happened 25 million years ago based on these fragments of bones that they found with no DNA evidence. Once again, I say, and now you got a whole chart and all this other stuff about how we evolved from this and evolved from that. And there's zero evidence truly actually from any DNA except for a chimpanzee. And then they say, okay, well, because we share so much with the chimpanzee, there has to be some kind of common ancestor that came from a monkey somewhere. And even though the apes diverged from a supposed common ancestor 25 million years ago, even though there's no proof of that, we're just going to go off of this. That's ridiculous. Okay. All this is speculation, is theories. Okay. Humans share common ancestors with apes, which is still yet to be found. All he's doing is taking these charts that these people are putting together, which is just theorizing what they think might have happened based on Darwin. And making and touting it off as fact. And he's egotistical about it because he has to, because that's his God. He's an atheist. He believes that everything started based on evolution has to exist. Okay, it has to exist. Otherwise, how he can't explain how we got here. So this actually is going to break. This is breaking down all like thoughts of when it comes to anything. When it comes to our creation. But there's no DNA evidence. So, I mean, even this scientific way of trying to come up with this information still has more work that needs to be done to be able to prove that this stuff is true. Only thing I'm seeing here is just like a bunch of like stuff talking about things that existed at a time that you can't even do any testing to date back to. And you're showing these words of these monkeys and things like that they took about a few fossil found some fossils of and said, okay, well, this is this, and this is that, and this is this and whatever. And all they did was have a little chip of a fossil of the bottom of a tooth of a skull. So basically, evolution is not linear. Okay, scientists theorize that humans and other animals share a common ancestor, but this does not mean that we're the same species or would evolve directly from one another. What they're talking about is a braided stream, you guys. That does not mean that we came from the same thing. There's different people in all over the world. So how can we say that we evolved from one specific thing? Common ancestor refers to shared evolutionary history between different species. Common species, on the other hand, refers to organisms that belong to the same species. Over time, species can diverge and undergo significant changes, resulting in a distinct species with unique characteristics. As mammals, okay, because he's going from, if you're a primate and you're a simian and you're a monkey, okay, well, we're mammals, okay, humans share certain characteristics with other mammals as well as genetic markers. However, those shared characteristics do not imply that we evolved from the same species or are closely related to other mammals. We have genetic markers that connect us to those things. It doesn't mean that we are that thing. Why do we stop at monkey? Why aren't we fish? Why aren't we Luca? Why aren't we a blob? Why aren't we bacteria? We're just monkey. We just gonna stop at monkey. You know, it's a box within a box within a box within a box. So now we're monkeys. Okay, well, we'll go past monkey. What are we then? So I guess we're fish if you actually like go back far enough. But no, the genetic thing is closer to the chimpanzee. So let's stop at monkey. Basically, homologous structures are characteristics shared between different species. This does not imply direct evolutionary relationship. In conclusion, a common ancestor does not mean that we are the same species or evolved directly from one another. Our shared evolutionary history is complex and our distinct characteristics have evolved over millions of years. Proconsul, Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus in the evolution of the great apes, okay? So what he's saying, what he believes is that we came from a proconsul that existed 25 million years ago. And that's what he's trying to say that is our common ancestor. How can we prove lineage from apes that went extinct 25 million years ago and there's no DNA? Again, I say there's no DNA evidence to prove anything he's saying. Nothing. All he's doing is taking some lists that people were able to name, and it sounds really, really smart and intelligent, and there's no proof, no true real proof, no real DNA except for anything closest which is a chimpanzee. And all the animals that he's saying that we are connected to went extinct 25 million years ago, and we've only existed for 300,000 years. How can you connect us to something 25 million years ago without any true DNA or genetic testing of those things that existed? And you have the bones, but guess what? They can't test them because it degrades over time. So what are we really talking about here? How can we connect ourselves? Oh, well, we've theorized, okay? All this is theory. Well, this should go into this subsection and this subsection, and then that proves your point because someone made a chart and it put things in order for you. I don't understand why he's acting like he done went on an archaeological dig or got a microscope and looked up any of this stuff. How can we prove lineage from apes that went extinct millions of years ago when every ape that came after it still isn't direct lineage to human? We're not in direct lineage of a chimpanzee. The chimpanzees did not give birth to humans. Apes did not give birth to humans at the top, like old world monkeys did not give birth. They went extinct. So bottom line, science self-separates the ape from the monkey. And I showed you back in my in the whole presentation with the Encyclopedia Britannica where there was a clear separation. When they say old world monkeys and they say apes, they'll say old world monkeys and apes or apes. They separate the two. They don't say old world monkeys and then in parentheses apes. They don't say that. They say and apes. So when they talk about the Catarines, I'm sorry, what's the other one? I think it was the Catarines. When they talk about those old world apes back here when I was on right here. When they talk about, the old world monkeys, they are under a super family, okay, on Cercopithecoidea, okay. Now I don't know the words all the way. I just know the order of how this thing is done. The Catarrhini, okay, there's a super family of Cercopithecoidea. Underneath that is the old world monkey. There's another superfamily of apes, and underneath that is a human. Okay, so there's a clear separation, but somehow he's saying that no, we're it's all together. No, I don't know. That makes us a monkey. So where are we at? Proconsul. There's a gap in the fossil record, okay, and I would like to challenge that. There's a direct fossils linking proconsul to great apes are sparse. There's proconsuls represent an early branch. Not all species led to great apes, okay. Relationship to human. Dryopithecus is part of a lineage closer to the common ancestor of great apes and humans. But where's the fossil of this common ancestor? The closer to the common ancestor. All these things are extinct, and there is no fossil of the common ancestor that connects us. What we figured out here is, as much as the scientists have discovered, they still don't know. But somehow Qube knows. Okay, somehow Qube got it all figured out. Everybody is stupid but him. All the scientists, as much as they say they don't know, Qube got it all figured out. He ain't been to no archaeological digs. He ain't got no microscope. He ain't even dug up in his backyard and looked up a damn bone in his backyard and see if he find up a fossil back there. But he got it figured out. Darwin was a racist, and I'm gonna go get into that in my next thing. But the main, I want to just specifically talk about how racist Darwin was. So I mean, at some he said at some future period, he thought he basically was saying that the apes and everything, that the civilized man, the Caucasian, sorry, I'm losing my spot. Basically, he basically saw the African man and also the Aborigines to be lesser than. You know what I'm saying? He believed that they were lesser species. Okay, so how can we base our information on a racist science? Okay, a whole scientific racial construct that's touted and based in racism. The whole objective for this whole breaking us down into monkeys and saying that we're monkeys is racist at its core. So why would we follow that? Why would we follow racist rhetoric and then tout it off to be the truth? Why are we so focused on us being monkeys when scientists themselves separate us from monkeys? Why would Sam? Well, then you had the Homo florensis, and what happened is that the scientists actually went in and destroyed the
1 minute. 1 minute.
How can we truly trust a scientist that will destroy a fossil? Because the reason why they destroyed the fossil is because they found out that the fossil had Down syndrome. Now this was in Asia, okay, in India. And what they ended up doing was they ended up making it so that this person could not, no one could actually study that site until this paleoanthropologist died. How can we trust these scientists? And all this information he's talking about is all based on this science and these people that you can't even trust what the information is. And they don't even have the true, the data that they need. They still are doing research. They're still finding out more things. I think that's my time.
All right, man. Genesis becoming a force to be reckoned with, y'all. Genesis is now into the debate ring, into the debate circuit. She have taken on one of them suckers over there and beat him bad. But Qube, you're up, brother. We got Qube up for the second round. Time will start when you're ready, brother.
Yeah, I couldn't listen to the past like 5 minutes of her talking. I had to mute and turn it off because like she's just not on topic for some reason. Like who's bringing, like, what does racism have to do with your genome? Like what does racism have to do with that? You started my time?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, like what does racism have to do with your genome? This doesn't even make sense what she's talking about. Like this is pathetic. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you got some slides and stuff like that, but it's not saying anything. And then what's even sad is that a lot of your slides, they actually agree with me. So let me just, yes, they did. And I want to share my screen to show you a few of those slides that actually agree with me. This is pathetic. This is utterly pathetic. Here, let me share this. This is horrific. Hit, let me know where you can see that.
I can see it. Well, it's up there.
All right, so now this is what she brought forward. This is what she brought forward. But what she wanted to do was she wanted to highlight something in red to force your brain to look down there. But nah, we're not that slow. What we do is we read the whole thing. So this is what she brought to the debate. This was one of her slides in the first round. This is what she said. Well, this is what her source says. It says, due to billions of years of evolution, humans share genes with all living organisms. The percentage of genes or DNA that organisms share records their similarities. We share more genes with organisms that are more closely related to us. Who said that? Who said that? Was it I that said that when I pointed out that 93 that we share 93.5% with the macaque, and then we share 98.77 with the chimpanzee? That's what I said. And this is your sources saying the same thing. When we see the percentages higher, we're closer. So your own sources is agreeing with me. What this is what I'm saying. She doesn't understand what she's talking about. We share more genes with organisms that are more closely related to us. Because she's asking crazy questions. Well, bones don't prove relations. Well, you know what? Bones don't prove relations, but you know what does? Your genome. And we've mapped it out for a monkey. We mapped it out for another ape, which is the chimpanzee, and we've mapped it out for humans. How do you get? Why would someone share 93 plus percent of their genome with humans? Why would something share 93 plus percent? When I did a DNA test for my daughter, it said 90. I think it said like 98.7 or something like that. I forget what it was. This was years ago. Why would something be so high? Why would it be so high? Let's continue to read this nonsense she put up. It says humans belong to the biological group known as primates. Are monkeys primates? See, when you don't understand what I'm talking about and you just decide to put a whole bunch of other slides together that's talking about nothing, about Darwin being a racist, who gives a damn about that nonsense? Talking about monkeys swinging from trees that I'm not talking about. I'm talking about a subgroup in these primates called semiforms. That's where we come from. That's what you're not willing to debate. This is why it was pointless us even being here doing this evening. But we're going to continue at your expense. Humans belong to the biological group known as primates and are classified with the great apes, one of the major groups of the primate evolutionary tree. Besides similarities in their anatomy and behavior, our close biological kinship with other primate species is indicated by DNA evidence. This is asking you, excuse me, this is answering those silly questions that you were asking. So if you would have just read your own source, you wouldn't have had to talk about no damn fossils that I'm not talking about. If you would have just read your own source, you wouldn't have had to bring up that other nonsense that you brought up. You didn't have to do it if you just read your source. It's telling you exactly what I'm telling you. Besides similarities in anatomy and behavior, our close biological kinship with other primate species. Monkeys are primates. And it's telling you that we have kinship, not just regular kinship, not play kinship. That's my cousin and them. No, biological kinship. That's what it's saying. Our close biological kinship with other primate species is indicated by DNA evidence. It confirms that our closest living biological relatives are chimpanzees and bonobos. Closest. That's the closest. But then when we begin to look at the rhesus macaque, we see that they're 93.5, but the closest is the chimpanzees and bonobos. Why don't you read your source? Why would you bring this to us? Why would you try to highlight that in red and try to get away from it? Because it says something that you thought agreed with you, but I'm about to show you how it actually doesn't. This is what happens when you put a whole bunch of slides together, throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. I'm the Qube, man. Who you think you're dealing with? It confirms that our closest living biological relatives are chimpanzees and bonobos, with whom we share many traits, but we did not evolve directly from primates living today. God, that's what I've been saying the whole time. She's thinking about some monkeys that are living today. I keep telling her I'm not talking about that we are monkeys that live in today. She keeps going there. If you had read your source, you would understand that that's what I was saying, and your source is also saying it. Why didn't you read your source? Why didn't you read this source? Did you skip over everything and just highlight that? Now let's read the part that she tried to use misdirection and get us to look at. It says DNA also shows that our species and chimpanzees diverge from a common ancestor. Hold on. Why does she keep asking, well, how do you prove this and how do you prove that? Your own source is telling you DNA. DNA also shows that our species are in chimpanzees diverge from a common ancestor. What does it mean to diverge? What does that mean? It means that you had to fucking originate with that thing before you can diverge from something. You had to originate with it. From a common ancestor species that lived between 8 and 6 million years ago. The last common ancestor of monkeys and apes lived about 25 million years ago. Hold on. Hold on. This says exactly what I've been saying. The last common ancestors of monkeys, not of monkeys and apes, lived about 25 million years ago. So what are we talking about? Let's do it like this, because you're still not getting it. You're still not getting it. So now, if we were to put a monkey right here, if we put a monkey right here, what we would see is we would see multiple other clades breaking off, showing what? Different species that come from it, but they would still be monkeys. You're dead, you're super dead, you're deader than dead because you don't know what you're talking about. Let's go to one of her other slides. It's sad that I have to explain your slides to you. It's pathetic. Can we get a time check real quick? Because I don't even need the rest of this after I go through this. It's
You
pathetic.
got 7 minutes, 15 seconds.
Good. I don't even need it all. Here we go. She want to talk about, this is what she put up. Genetic differences. Humans share 98 to 99% of DNA with chimpanzees. That 1 to 2 difference is a key genetic difference. Now, this is saying that 1 to 2 difference, what is caused by that difference? We see advanced cognitive functions. We see the FOXP2 gene for language and speech. We see complex and social and cultural structures. If you read your source, it would explain to you why monkeys are still swinging from trees and we aren't, because we diverged, because we have that 1 to 2% difference, because we diverge. And within what came with that divergence was the FOXP2 gene that mutated, that allowed for speech and language, was advanced cognitive functions, complex social and cultural structures. This is your source telling you why monkeys are the way that they are. Other monkeys in the world that are living today, the extant monkeys today, are the way that they are. They're telling you why. Evolutionary divergence. Apes split from monkeys. Oh my God. Why is she not reading her source? Apes split from monkeys. So you mean to tell me that apes come from monkeys? Huh, interesting. So if apes come from monkeys and humans are apes, what does that say? It says you fucking lost the debate. That's what it says. It says you don't know what you're talking about, is what it says. If apes split from monkeys, million of years before chromosome 2 fused with humans, far fewer similarities with monkeys due to earlier divergence of monkeys from apes. This is sad. Why would you throw up all of this stuff here and not even read? Let's go to her last one. And this one, I don't know if this one was bad, but the first one was just pathetic. So with this, she was just trying to explain, oh no, we actually come from the family of Hominidae. But this is what she gives us? This is what she gives us. So she look at what she's trying to highlight. She's trying to force you to look at something. Okay, well, let's look at what she wants us to look at. Let's take a look. So now, Hominidae. So when we look at the family of Hominidae, what do we see up in there? We see humans, we see other apes, but when we go up, we see the superfamily, which is Hominoidea. But hold on just a second. I know it's really bad, and the contrast is really off. But when you go up, what does that say? Does that say Catarini? Does that say old world monkeys? Does that say Cercopithidae? Hold on, you gotta be joking, right? That doesn't say Cercopithidae, right? That doesn't say Cercopithidae, right? No, that don't say that. It don't say Cercopithidae. It's not telling you that these are monkeys that we come from. You can't be that damn silly to try to start down here and not want to talk about what it came from. In my entire argument, I'm talking about the monophyly. It's very simple. I have not diverged or strayed from that. I've made it clear. And we see it right here. This is the same thing I've been talking about. I put up something, you put up something, it's saying the same thing, except you don't understand it. You made my point for me with your slides. And with that, that's time, man. This is trash. Straight garbage.
All right. Sister Genesis, your last and final round. Qube came back with a crusher, a bone crusher. Powerful information. Sister Genesis, let me know when you're ready. This is your last and final round to make a powerful impact. Get y'all questions ready out there in YouTube land, in the streets of YouTube. We will be opening up for question and answers. Let me know when you're ready, sis. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Genesis. I don't think Genesis can hear me.
I don't understand why he does not see.
All right, you ready?
I'm sorry. Let me present my screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen is up.
All right, let me go back here because I don't understand why he just does not see right here.
All right, time starts.
Okay, if I mean, let me see if I can zoom in here, okay?
Time start now.
Okay. So you have Catarini, you have old world monkeys and apes, right? And this is what we supposedly these are a lot of different things within this category, okay? Just like all monkeys are primates, but all primates are not monkeys, okay? He's saying the same thing. All apes are monkeys, but all monkeys aren't apes, or what, some shit like that. Bottom line is that science itself separates the old world monkey from the ape. You see that there's a separate superfamily. You see how this thing is, there's a Catarini up here, and then you see that it separates the superfamily, and then there's a so Cercopithicoidae, and then you have one family with 21 genera, okay? And you see that this is the family Cercopithicoidae, old world monkeys, okay? That they did not, what he would be saying is these apes would have been underneath the family of old world monkeys. This would have been underneath over here. It wouldn't have been its own super family of hominoidae. I'm very bad at pronouncing stuff. Hominoidae. Yeah. Bottom line is that you have the Cercopithicoidea and you have a hominoidea, apes. Cercopithicoidea is old world monkeys separate from apes. Now he's trying to say that monkeys came from apes came from monkeys. Okay, if something diverges 25 million years ago, okay, and then something goes extinct, the thing that it supposedly diverged from goes extinct. How could you connect it to it, and especially when you don't have any technology that goes far enough back to even test it? He's saying that DNA is the thing that does it, but it says right here that at the top of this on Encyclopedia Britannica, it said, like any classification, the present arrangement is essentially a hypothesis of relationships. And this is the Encyclopedia Britannica saying it's a hypothesis. But just because it said that he's using this thing and it's clearly separating monkeys from apes. And knowing that this whole arrangement is essentially a hypothesis, but he's using it and saying it's a fact. All these things are studies. They're trying to figure out where we came from. It does not make us exactly that. So I don't understand why you're going to take that as a fact and just make an assumption and say, oh, well, guess what? That's what we are. We're monkeys based on a hypothesis, a hypothetical thing. It's a relationship among superfamilies, families, and genre is continuously being tested by the discovery of new fossils. Reanalysis of data from conventional sources and analysis of new data such as DNA sequences. So then there's a new source of information. Now they're trying to look at the molecular clock. They need more data. You're basically taking information from something that's not even set in stone. And that's no pun intended, set in stone. No fossil records to connect anything to some great common ancestor, because that common ancestor, it doesn't even exist. They're just throwing things at the wall and hoping to stick. And then people like Qube will sit there and base his whole life around it. A hypothesis is a supposition or a proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. It's just the start of the investigation. That's not the end all be all. And he want to cuss somebody out over this. Like I said, this fool ain't never, he ain't got no microscope. He ain't been to no archaeological dig to know how it's done. All he doing is looking stuff online just like anybody else is, and smoking his blunt and thinking that he Dr. Qube now. Dr. Qube, D-O-C-T-A-H Qube, okay? Bottom line is that there's gaps in the fossil record. It still remains a point of scientific inquiry. All this stuff is based, okay, how could you base yourself and base everything that you believe in on a science that's based in racism? The whole objective of even, okay, yeah, sure, you have scientists now that are testing this stuff, but the whole structure of this was to prove that black people were apes, and that white people were human. What they did was they found out otherwise. They found out that we were true 100% human, and that they were more closer to apes and Neanderthal. And then after they found out that they were closer to the Neanderthal, then they started to say that the Neanderthal was smart. Before that, it used to be you would get probably fought if you said about Neanderthal. Neanderthal was not something cool to say that you was that was your ancestor. They changed that narrative because basically once they found out that they had that Neanderthal and we didn't, the Africans didn't, when they did the DNA research, oh, now all of a sudden, oh, well, hold on now. Neanderthals are cool now. Now he's basing his information on a whole scientific system that's based in racism that does things like break the fossil records that they find, put them back together, do all kind of weird stuff, create like all kind of take the skulls and reconstruct them. That's what this whole scientist right here did. Right here, this whole paleontologist right here, he damaged the fossil. What are we basing all these names that we come up with on these little chunks of a fossil that's put together? Like I said, Lucy was scattered miles apart, and then they put it together and they came up with a whole. I mean, come on now. You want to see this picture of Lucy? Come on now. They took all this and then gave her some titties and put on like gave her all this and her hair, and based on this little bit of stuff. And then there's no DNA thing that can to actually tell you what she looked. This is all an artistic rendering. This is not based on any kind of science DNA. All they did was take a fossil and just assume that that's what it was. They do the same thing to dinosaurs. You'll see a whole museum of dinosaurs, and they just only might have found a tail, and you'll see a whole dinosaur out of that. So how can we? So and they're gonna create what this looked like pretty soon too. You know what I'm saying? If they ain't got the picture of it yet, they're gonna put it together. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna come out with a look for that one too. They did the same thing with the Neanderthal. Bottom line is that how could you trust a racist scientific society and believe? first of all, wouldn't that be crazy to like that this particular Homo florensis was about to change everything about what they thought where we came from? But this guy destroyed it. They were going to make a whole new Homo species based on the fossil of the Homo florensis. Another thing is that if we all come from multiple regions, could it be that we all that everything, instead of us evolving from one specific thing, that we could have evolved from several different things? Why are we just so stuck on evolving from one specific thing? Couldn't there be a bipedal kind of ape-like creature that came out that was able to swim in water and live on land? Why are we so stuck on what these scientists are thinking? You know what I'm saying? That because they put together a diagram and we're just stuck on that notion that they give us. How can we truly trust a science that would actually be racist enough or that fulfill their own intellectual thoughts about what they think society should be? And once they found out that this thing had genetic defects, which would probably, if they say that this is a new genus, then that might be that there's people out here that would be the Down syndrome trait. Why would you take that away and start to destroy that? They would not let no one go back into that cave until that paleoanthropologist died. Tekel Jacob, look him up. Homo florensis, right? Severe damage to the fossil. Cutting it, misaligning the jaw, smashing the pelvis. Why? Because it had Down syndrome. They didn't want to let that be a new species or a subspecies of Homo sapiens. That was going to be the sub Homo sapien. Okay. Where are the current scientists that are exclusively researching evolution as it refers to people of color? All humans have a common ancestor. Common is not inferring single. It could be multiple ancestors. Since we're accepting theories, genetically, a Caucasian, Asian, and African might have a separate common ancestor. The very origin of these genetic markers might come from two different species altogether. Some animals don't originate from certain areas. How are humans able to evolve all over the world with the same common ancestor? It has to be multiple. But we're so stuck on the out of Africa theory, we're not even thinking about the fact that they just found a new fossil in Turkey. And they're saying that it came out of Europe. So now out of Africa, all this stuff that you found, all those fossils that they found in Africa, now there's question, because that all the things they said that they found was based in Africa. Now now where did this thing come from in Turkey now? What monkey did that come from? What ape did that come from? Because now we got two different regions where they found these fossils. Okay, there must be a monkey in Turkey too. Which Turkish? We got to figure that out. They're gonna change that whole little chart you saw. That's fixing to change up because they got to figure out where this thing came from. Bottom line is that at some point this whole thing was really based on us being monkeys. Was based on racist rhetoric.
4 minutes.
All this stuff was based on racist rhetoric. They had non-European people, particularly Africans, were displayed in human zoos alongside primates to suggest that they were evolutionary. They were an evolution. We were the missing link at some point. They said that blacks were like monkeys and we were the missing link to human existence. Blacks were slain. You know what I'm saying? They went off into Australia and they chopped off these Aboriginals' heads so that they could bring their skulls back so that they could test them, because they thought that they considered them to be apes and monkeys. This is the thing. You got the Piltdown man. This host was widely accepted because it fit preconceived notions of European superiority. All this shit is based in white supremacy and trying to figure out, where they thought that Europe was a cradle of civilization, but now they had to say, Africa was a cradle. So that, the Neanderthal is in our blood. We got to change the whole narrative now about the Neanderthal. They did a craniometry. Since enslaved people were the first brought to this country, promoters of anti-black racism and white supremacy had co-opted the authority of science to justify racial inequality. They were using our brain, our heads to basically say that they were all kind of pseudoscience was going on back in the day. Okay, do we have distinct evolutionary paths resulted in unique human traits? Fossil records are incomplete and still being discovered. Humans emerged approximately 300,000 years ago, and despite environment, have evolved, adapted, and achieved significant advancement. Monkeys have not evolved, y'all. So I guess that we're trying to. I guess our evolution is the evolution of monkeys. Is that what we're saying? Is that what he believes? When monkeys still are actually existing in this world and are still climbing in trees with their tails. I mean, millions of years suggested that they've been subjected to environmental change, the very thing that supposedly creates mutations and creates evolution. So you can't say, oh, evolution happens over time. Well, honey, they've had millions of years to evolve. We've only been here 300,000 years. Theories are always changing due to new fossils or technology for testing being discovered. He's basing all his information on things that even Encyclopedia Britannica itself says are just theories, and that more DNAs need to be done. So he's up here getting on and getting like all belligerent, knowing doggone well that this information is still being tested and new fossils are being found, and that one might crush the other. They still haven't even been to Antarctica, y'all. One minute. When they find out, when they go to these, I mean, they can't even test the depths of the ocean and find places that were taken over by water and those animals that might be there. So there's so much that's still up in the air when it comes to all this. Okay, it's still up in the air. Humans are not monkeys, nor do we descend from them. Most sources that you find are saying the same thing. Common ancestor is a theoretical and not based on facts. Carbon dating is limited. Can't go back far enough to tie things together. The end.
All right, Genesis. You did your thing. Powerful ending of your third round. Qube, you are up now, and you will be doing your last and final round. Let's get it. Time will start when you're ready, brother.
Yeah, good. The end. Yes, you're right. The end. The end. Because you killed yourself. Listen, y'all. She's not on topic. She's talking about
Let me know when you're ready,
reason.
Qube. You ready?
We ready. I don't need my
All
full
right,
round.
let's go.
Yeah, this is light work.
All
So
right.
once again, she's not on topic. I understand that you may disagree that we're monkeys, but she isn't on topic. So by default, you have to put the W where it belongs, and that's with your brother Q. But you gotta give her this L. Yeah, I'm sorry, my camera keep going in and out. I'm not sure what's wrong with that, but yeah, I just want to delve into a few things that she was talking about, which was utterly ridiculous and made no sense. So as I stated in my previous round, why would something share 93+% of their genome with with humans? Why is that possible? That's your first question that I'm gonna ask you. So go ahead and write that down when we get to the Q&A. I want you to hold that. It's gonna be a big L for you. So now, um, she kept going on about, it was just a bunch of meandering about racist scientists. That round was a throwaway round. I guess she had nothing else to talk about, so she tried to stretch it out, throwing a whole bunch of nonsensical slides on there to try to show like she was actually saying something. If you want to prove racism and people were racist, I would agree with that, but it has nothing to do with this debate. I would agree with some scientists in the past being racist, but it has nothing to do with this debate. I hope you understand that. So let's continue here. I wrote down a few things based off of the nonsensical things that she said. So she said, "How can you trust a racist scientific society?" Because she still doesn't understand our our relationship to other monkeys today. She thinks for some reason that I'm saying that we are the monkeys that are extant, meaning that are living today. No, that's not what I'm saying. But she's asking, well, how can you trust the racist scientific society? Okay, well, give your baby daddy a DNA test, and if it come back with over 98%, and that will allow him to say, well, he's not related and he ain't got to pay child support, right? This is the nonsense you're saying. I hope you understand this, because you don't want to trust the science. So when you want to put him on child support, and I'm not talking to her, I'm talking about anybody who shares her ideology. If you don't trust the science and it comes back 98%, he just say, well, we're not related. That's false science. No, you know what's gonna happen? You are going to pay that child support by hook or by crook, or they're gonna put you in jail, take your license, all that kind of stuff. You know why? Because this stuff is proven. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just against the topic. Do you believe in evolution? Do you understand it? Absolutely not. So she doesn't understand how we can trust science. You trust science every single day. You're literally on a damn computer talking to me from 1,000 miles away, losing badly. Yes, you do trust science. You just like to pick and choose, like people with the Bible, that they like to choose this part or choose that part or believe this part or believe that part. That's what you like to do, which is unfortunate. So then she asked me, well, how many digs have I been on? I haven't been on any digs. That's not my field. Not everybody goes to digs. That's not what everybody does in science. There's multiple disciplines in science. Not everybody does that or have to do that. And she hasn't been on any digs either, which I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous to even say that. So once again, oh yeah, she brought up about she brought up something about Neanderthals and Pilt man. Man, who cares about any of that stuff? None of that stuff is what I'm talking about. I'm telling you that humans are monkeys based on the genome that we've already sequenced, and we know this to be fact. Where's the DNA where's the DNA evidence that you brought? I brought a study. Where's the study that you brought? I don't see any studies that she brought. I seen a whole bunch of multicolored words with some cool looking backgrounds, but I didn't see any actual science. I gave you a paper. I gave you an actual paper that shows you the genomes with sequence and how they matched up. Until you get this out of your mind that I'm not talking about some monkey that's living today. We're not those. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm saying. Until you understand that, you're going to continue to lose this debate. And this is why you can't stay on topic. This is why you're not talking about what I'm talking about, because you had to fill it with other nonsense. So let's get to the Q&A and let me just finish her off real quick. Time.
All right, we're going right to the Q&A. This is where you get a minute to answer the question. When you ask someone a question, you have to allow them to answer the question. You can't cut them off. We're going to give you 2 minutes, a minute and a half to answer the question. Y'all both understand?
Absolutely.
Are there any questions? All right, Genesis, you first. You can ask Qube a question. And then he got a minute to answer it, a minute and a half. Unmute yourself, Genesis.
She's scared to come out the corner. What's going on?
No. I just want to know is that all right. So you basically said that chart that you believe in when it comes down to things. Why is it considered to be a hypothesis and not a
Which chart?
fact?
Which chart?
The chart the Britannica chart that I just showed you, because that's the thing that you base everything on, as far as old world monkeys versus new world monkeys. Okay, when it talks to apes versus monkeys, you see the separation. Okay,
I don't know what you're talking about.
do I need to show it to you?
If you want me to understand what you mean, yeah.
Okay. Because this is the same chart that you constantly use when it comes down to showing the connection and apes being monkeys. Okay. I'm just trying to understand. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, that's part of the problem with your debate, is that you didn't understand.
No, here's the question: is that why is it that when these scientists, when even the encyclopedia says that it is essentially a hypothesis, why do you then tout it off as fact?
Hold on, I haven't read that, so I'm not sure what that's pertaining to. I haven't read it, so I'd have to go back
You just
and
read it earlier. You read it earlier.
Sister, no, I didn't. I used that slide, but I used the breakdown when it came to the superfamily of Cercopithecoida and Catarrhini. That's what I did. I didn't read that part right there, so I would have to look into that. And if you give me some time to read it, then I can give you a proper answer.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. Qube, ask her a question.
Oh, hold on, I thought she just gonna go for like 5 minutes to ask me questions, and I'll come back.
No, we're gonna go back and forth.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, as I stated, why would something share 93+% with another thing in their genome and they not be related?
Universal genetic code. Most genes highly conserved across species because they perform essential biological functions.
You got
So
a
I
minute
mean,
to answer it. You can take your time. You got a minute.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
if
don't
something.
understand that. I don't understand what that means. Can you disambiguate that for me?
Well, basically, I mean, cellular respiration, replication, functional similarity does not mean one species is derived from another, but rather these genes are critical for survival and shared by multiple organisms. So, a monkey might need certain genes, the same genes that humans need to live on land. You know, so if I'm a monkey or I'm an ape, I'm going to have those similar characteristics. I might need specific genes to digest my food and this, that, the other. I mean, so just because we all living on the same environment and things like that, we need specific genes to survive in that environment.
No. So it sounds like what you're trying to refer back to is homology, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it comes to our genome, why do
Is this your third question or
no 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 no
No, that's her answer, Cube. You gotta I gotta let her ask you a question now. Genesis, you can ask Cube.
Okay. Man, I forgot what my question was. Dang.
I know you did.
No, because I was what is the common ancestor to humans and monkeys if there's no bones? Where I mean, if how explain the common ancestor and how come if there's no actual real fossils and DNA that actually found of the common ancestor, what are you connecting this common ancestor from? Where are you connecting it from?
Right. So I'm not interested and I won't field any questions that are not talking about this debate. So I'm not interested in any of that. We have the genome that shows our relation. So we don't have to talk about anything with fossils. I don't have to bring any of that. I'm only talking about us being monkeys. So if you have questions, direct them towards the prompt and I'll deal with that.
Okay, so when you talk about okay, I would be asking a separate question. That was my question.
That's cool. You could correct it.
No, that was the question. You said you don't want to answer the question. So.
Yeah, yeah, but no, but if I'm rejecting that question. But if you want to ask me a question based
No,
on
that was
debate,
the question, and you don't want to answer
no,
that
but
question.
no. Yeah, I'm rejecting that question because I want you to ask me something
Are we
in the
allowed to
debate.
reject the question, sa.neter?
Yes. No. I'm rejecting it because it's not about the debate.
That is
Ask me
the
something
debate.
about the debate.
No, the
No,
debate is that we're common ancestors to a monkey, and that's
that
how
is
you
not the
even
debate.
came upon the whole thing that we are monkeys.
All
Is
right,
because of
hold
the
on.
common ancestor.
Cube, the question is revolving around the debate because she's asking you probably a common ancestor to the monkey, or are we monkeys? So that does fit into the topic.
Well, not necessarily because we don't have to talk about common ancestors. We actually don't. Only thing I can show you is that our genome are similar. So if you want me to go there with you, which I don't think is a part of the debate, we can actually go to Proconsul and show that.
Okay. Genesis, Cube, is your time to ask her a question.
All right. So do you believe in DNA tests? And if you do you believe that they actually work or do you think that they don't work? What's your answer to that?
I believe in DNA testing, but however, I think that there's a strong degradation of DNA over time when you actually try to test anything past 2 million years. So even like when it comes down to testing us out for apes and different things that existed older and things like that, there's very monkeys that existed 25 million years ago. It is very difficult to then be able to connect us to something that existed then because there's no DNA evidence that shows that there's a connection. And like I said, those fossils are fragmented, and that's why my argument has been primarily about fossils because all these different titles that you're naming, these different things are based on fossils. All these different things, proconsul, all these were fossils at one time that were found, and then they named these fossils, and then they came up with a genus and families based on fossils that they found. So and basically without any DNA evidence that connect us to humans, I believe in DNAs that could test anything recently in modern society. But when you start going 25 million back, hell, if you go 2 million years back, you can't do it. DNA is not our technology is not that advanced to that. Later on, they're going to be doing more stuff, but not right now.
All right, Qube, your last and final question to her, and then we're gonna. Do y'all want to open it up to the panel first for questions, or would y'all like to close out before that?
Yeah. Let me close out because when you open up the panel, I want to run to the store
Okay.
to get some Victory cigars real quick.
All right, so Qube, you got your last question, and then we're gonna head to the closing.
No, I asked her a question that she fumbled horrifically. Now she has
Oh,
to ask
okay.
me a
Right.
question. And then,
Genesis, you can ask. No, matter of fact, that's the last one then, because Genesis went first. So
we only get 2 questions apiece. I only asked the 2 questions.
Genesis, do you have another question?
Yeah, one more or 2 more.
Come on, Genesis, let's go. You can get one more question in.
All that nonsense you had in your slides, you ain't got nothing else. Come on, I know there's something else in there.
So, of all this talk about monkeys and things like that, again, I talked about Darwin and how all of this stuff was like kind of based on Darwin's understanding, you know what I'm saying, of how we are connected to monkeys. Okay, how much of what you're saying is based on Darwin's ideals?
None of it, because this isn't about Darwin. So the debate isn't about Darwin. I would never talk about Darwin. If you want to say that he was racist, I would agree with you. But so what? It has nothing to do with this debate. So I reject that as well. But my question is this: why would you specifically talk about Neanderthals and fossils and things of that nature when you knew it had nothing to do with the debate? Why would you do that?
Because all these fossils and all these things, these Neanderthals and all this stuff like that, are all based in science that is connecting bones to us, and connecting these bones without any DNA evidence that this stuff is connected to us. So if you say that we're a monkey and we're an ape and we're this and we're that, the only recent ability to connect us to anything, the chimpanzee, because that's the ape that is connected to us, is most modern. The modern ape, okay, the chimpanzee, bonobo monkeys, that's the closest DNA that we have. All this other DNA that you're talking about is too old. Okay, and so it cannot be tested, and even the fossil record it can't be tested. So because carbon data, you can't directly test the fossils past 50,000 years. So all these fossils I'm showing, the Neanderthal, I'm showing how ridiculous it is to actually take a couple bones and then be able to make an assumption based on that without any DNA evidence.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you one more bite at the apple. Why would you talk about things that were not directed towards the debate? Why would you bring up fossils? Why would you bring up Neanderthal? Why would you bring up hold on, let me finish my question because you didn't understand it the first time. So I want to make
sure. Are we asking questions twice?
No, because you didn't get it. You didn't
that
understand.
That was my answer.
No, but it wasn't an answer. It was a response. It wasn't an answer. It was just a response. So now let me ask you one more time. Why would you bring up Neanderthals when we're talking about monkeys? Why would you bring up Darwin being racist when we're talking about monkeys? Why would you bring up all of this other stuff with fossils when we're talking about humans being monkeys? Why would you do that?
Because I'm attacking the science behind humans being monkeys. Okay, you're talking about humans being monkeys based on this grid that you see, and I'm saying that the science itself is flawed. Okay, that the science that you're using not flawed. I would say that the science is not developed enough yet to be able to prove anything that you're saying. That they're still finding more information out. There's still missing links. There's still so-called a common ancestor that that there's no fossil record of. So how could you connect something that's not even connected? And even scientists themselves say this. So you're talking about Neanderthal. At one point, they were saying that Neanderthal was a bad thing. Now that they found out that they're part Neanderthal, oh, okay, guess what? Neanderthals are good now. They're smart. They were very intelligent. You know what I'm saying? They're still finding more fossils. And everything that you're talking about, monkeys, this, that, the other, all this stuff that you're talking about, all are based on fossils that were found.
No, it's not. Hold on.
Yes,
all right, y'all. Hold up. The back and forth ends now. Now we are going to the closeout. Sister Genesis, you have 3 minutes in your closing round. 3 minutes. Close out. Let the people know what you proved. Let them know what you came to do. And this is your closing round. Qube, you got to cam up. You gotta show where you at, Qube.
No, I'm right here. I told you that. It's been doing that. It keep
Oh, okay.
turning on and off. I'm not doing
Yeah,
it. My
yeah.
hands are right here.
Right.
Like it'll just go out by
No,
itself.
I
I'm not
believe
doing
you.
that.
I believe you. Go ahead, Genesis.
Okay.
You got 3 minutes. Time will start when you're ready.
All right. So basically what I set out, and I think I've been successful in proving how pompous Qube can be when it really comes to this subject. You know what I'm saying? He's so egotistical that he doesn't even get what I'm trying to do when it comes down to explaining how science itself and the very thing that he's using to understand all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's still up for debate and still being debated and still they're still finding out more information. So to come to a conclusion on something that on a puzzle piece that's not even complete, that you don't even have all the pieces for, and then to say, "Oh, we're monkeys," and that's it, and that's the end all be all. Get out of here, man! How could you say this and they still don't have the fossils of the common ancestor? Oh, we share 90% DNA. Okay, so that does not mean that we are from a monkey, that proconsul that existed 25 million years ago. You connect. Okay, we're over here, chimpanzee, 300,000 years later, and you don't went all the way to the proconsul 25 million years ago, and there's no DNA evidence even connecting that. There's nothing that could. There's all this is people theorized that, wrote a paper on it, and then you took that paper and went crazy with it. Okay, well that's it. That's the end all be all. And the bottom line is that they're finding out more and more information. They're finding out that fossils over here and fossils over there. Who knows whether or not that these, and they still haven't done the DNA. They can't do any DNA because these fossils are too old to do. 2 million years ago that they find a fossil. That's the longest, the oldest that we can go back in DNA evidence. And then they find a fossil 8.5 million years, that was 8.5 million years old in Turkey. They can't do any DNA tests, not today, to prove that's a connection. But then what did they do? The first thing that the scientists did was say, well, that proves that we might have came from out of Turkey instead of out of Africa. Well, guess what? If they prove that, then all this stuff that you're talking about with monkeys and this, that, the other changes now. All these little lists of how things were out of Africa and this, that, now it came out of Turkey, god dang it. And now we got to redo this whole chart and figure out how it happened in Turkey. What monkeys was in Turkey now? You know what I'm saying? Was it an ape? Was it a monkey? You know, what was it? Because all this, now this part, it doesn't even make any sense. So you can't connect us to a proconsul that lived 25 million years ago. Okay, because there's no DNA evidence to prove it. And then all this stuff is based on scientific Darwinian nonsense. And racist scientists that hide bones and break them up to hide information. How can you trust a science that does that? You got people that was cutting off people's skulls. At one point, we was the thing that they were testing, and you want to.
All right, Qube. You got 3 minutes in this round. The polls are up. The people, we want to hear from the people. Qube, you got 3 minutes in your closing.
Yeah, so this is very simple, and if we get straight to the point, let me. I want to do this. I want to give you guys an outline for the people that are voting. Let me give you an outline because I want to talk to you, because this debate, she doesn't know what she's talking about. This is for the viewers. This is for the audience. This is for the audience. So let me give you an outline before you cast that ballot. This is what I want you to answer to yourself. Number one, was she on topic? Number two, did I agree with anything that she said? Because what I can show is that she wasn't on topic, and she actually agreed with 3 of her slides that I showed that actually agreed with me. So before you cast that ballot, because you say, oh, Qube is pompous, Qube is this, Qube is that, understand that she showed slides that actually agreed with my position, and I explained it. She showed slides that agreed with my position. She admitted to going off topic. I gave her a chance at redemption in the Q&A, and I asked her, why would you talk about something that had nothing to do with the debate? I thought that she would link it, but she didn't because she couldn't, because there's no excuse for going off topic. She admitted to go off topic to attack an argument that I didn't make. How can you win a debate when you agree? Yeah, see, because I'm attacking the science. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Neanderthals. I'm not talking about Darwin being racist. I'm not talking about the outer Africa theory. That's not what I'm talking about. So how can you in good faith cast your ballot for a person like her when she admitted to you and told you she went off topic because she wanted to attack a different argument that I didn't make? I understand you may not like me. You may not like that I say that we're monkeys, but the better argument was with Qube. I made the most sense. I never remotely agreed to anything that she said, but she agreed with me in 3 of her slides, and I showed that. She referred to fossils, Darwinism, and racism in scientists, and Neanderthals and outer Africa theory. I never talked about any of that. I showed you exactly what I was talking about us being simians. I showed you the human genome being sequenced to show the relation. I showed you that the genome has been sequenced, and then she showed you a slide that says closer, higher percentages mean that you're closer in ancestry. This is what she said. So she backed up a lot of my points. She backed up a lot of my points. So before you cast that ballot, understand what you're casting the ballot for. And with that, I say peace.
All right. I want to say to both of y'all, great, powerful debate. This is one that goes down in the books. The people should learn something from this. If you don't get it now, you might get it later on in your life, because some people don't get it right away. You know, you learn a little bit, you get into a little science, and you learned a little bit. So, what we would like to do right now is open up the platform. And we got Neil Spite in the building early. What's going on, Neil
Hold on.
Spite?
Really quick before they come in. Really quick before they come in.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
I do want to say this. Me and the sister, leading up to this debate, we had some words. You know, I was definitely cool with the sister before we had this debate coming up, and I want to continue to be cool with the sister. I didn't want to do the debate with you, sister, and I want to just try to keep it short and sweet. Thank you for doing the debate, but I didn't want to do it with you because that you were gonna go off topic. I said you were gonna go off topic, and you didn't understand my argument, which was evidenced by your debate. But you know, good debate, sis. Shout out to you, and you know, maybe we could do a round 2 or something if you with it.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel no hard feelings. I look at it like this. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Mike Tyson fight. You got to have have your talk your shit beforehand and get everybody. You know, that's like a psych out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's okay.
All right, cool. So I'm a tune. You muted, but I'm gonna tune in. I'm about to run to the store, get a victory cigar, and I'll be back with y'all.
All right, Neil Spite, what it is, brother?
Well, I
Do you
had a
have?
question for Q, but he leaving.
No, yeah.
Go
Try
ahead.
to ask how to. Well, yeah, go ahead with your question real quick.
So my question was, you are in the position that humans are apes or a part of the ape subgroup of primates known as the great apes, right?
No.
No? Okay, can
Because
you
because when you have humans are primates, that's the group that's above that. So it's primates and then there's humans. If that's like really what you're trying to say, right?
yeah, well, I was looking at the definition at Wikipedia, and it said humans are classified in the subgroup of primates known as the great
That's right.
apes.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Subgroup. So they're not the superior, they're sub.
Right. I agree.
Okay. So then I asked you in your position, before they morphed into ape, was there another form that we held before the ape form?
Monkey, which I've
That's an
said
ape. That's
multiple.
an ape though. That's an
Hold
ape.
on. No. It's a
Oh,
primate. It's
okay.
not an ape. A monkey. Listen. Let me put it to you like this. All apes are monkeys, but not all apes are. All apes are monkeys, but not all monkeys are apes.
I got you.
So you have tarsiers, which they are monkeys, but they're not apes. You have lemurs, they're monkeys, but they're not apes. So when she was bringing up a few of those things, it kind of confused the audience, and I tried to come back and explain it, but I think the damage was done because you know what I'm saying? Like y'all don't agree with my stance anyways. So if you see flashing colors in pictures, it's easier to kind of, you know, agree with that.
Okay, and my
But
last question, and I'll yield my part is to Qube, is if we take a gorilla, orangutan, and a bobo, or what is it,
bonobo,
yeah, them, what are we closer to in your understanding?
we would be closer to the bonobos.
All right, now I yield the time. Go ahead.
All right.
I'll
Thank
be
you,
right
brother.
back, y'all. Good
All
questions,
right.
man.
Let me go to Keon. Go ahead, Qube. You'll come back. Let me go to Keon in the building. What up, Keon?
What's good, Sa? Hey man, you know what? This was a very entertaining debate. This was a great debate, and I'm gonna just come from that perspective first, because I mean, regardless, I mean, people was going hectic in the.
That's just my personal view.
You know, Qube, you my phylogeny, right?
It's because people don't have to rush. I know you want to talk about Nature Boy. Revenge porn is a very serious crime. It